Hello, this is Ginny Brant with Unleash Your God-Given Healing with Lifestyle Changes. Today we're going to look at 8 tips for reducing exposure to EMFs or electromagnetic fields. In a previous video, I talked about 6 tips for protecting your body from cell phone radiation. And that video and several other related videos will be referenced in the show notes below. But what about overall EMF exposure, which includes cell phones? When you add cell phone radiation to EMFs from power lines, cordless phones, cell towers, Wi-Fi, smart appliances, etc., that's a lot of EMFs emitting around our bodies each day and each night. So the question is this: does all this synergistically have an impact on our bodies? According to 29 scientists from all over the world who examined the potential health risk of electromagnetic fields, radio frequency radiation, and microwave radiation, it does. This study, called the Bio-Initiative Report, stated chronic exposure to EMFs is associated with increased health risk that vary from impaired learning, headaches, mental confusion, skin rashes, tinnitus, and disorientation to a variety of cancers and neurological diseases like ALS and Alzheimer's disease. The report identifies the source of concern as power lines, cell and cordless phones, cell towers, Wi-Fi, and of course, wireless internet. Now, I once believed the more technology and the faster, the better. But I've changed my mind after learning the negative effects that constantly emitting devices can have on our health. My research included lectures from many medical doctors and scientists, some of whose own health was impacted by all of this smart, or maybe not so smart, technology. One young engineer who was determined to teach and warn others about the impact of EMFs is Jeremy Johnson. I spoke with him for an interview on the phone. His health went steadily downhill after a multitude of smart meters were installed at his apartment complex, unbeknownst to him, right below his bedroom window. After his health all of a sudden took a downward spiral, he began looking for answers and finally discovered the meters had been changed out. He recovered after moving out of that complex, and he discovered that he himself was EMF sensitive. The meters, however, did not seem to have an immediate impact on his wife in the short term. Dr. Libby Darnell, a medical practitioner in Chicago, experienced something similar. Her health mysteriously declined after her family moved into a new smart home that integrated all of the latest technology with all the bells and whistles. She has now also recovered and is educating others after removing all these smart technologies from her home. And note that in the short term, these technologies did not seem to have an immediate effect on her husband and her 2 children. So some people are more sensitive than others. Then I also heard about a surgeon who's related to a good friend of mine because he works in a situation each day where he is exposed to high levels of electromagnetic fields while doing surgeries all day long. When he gets home at night, he turns off all emitting devices so his body can recuperate. Now, all these things will make you wonder, won't they? As you can see from these amazing examples, we simply need more reliable and unbiased research on this topic. By unbiased, I mean not paid for by big technology. I'm hoping that if RFK Jr. is confirmed, he will see that this is done, as he too knows much research in this area and is concerned and committed to doing something about it. Of particular concern is the current movement from 4G to 5G technology in our cell phone towers. Dr. Dietrich Klinghardt, founder and chairman of the Institute for Neurobiology in Germany and Switzerland, cautions that these 5G towers will provide 40 times the impact of the current 4G towers. Oh my. That's good for faster download times, more reliable connections, and driverless cars, but not so good for our bodies. We desperately need more research before this stronger technology becomes a permanent part of our lives. Today, nearly every home in America and every place of work is impacted by EMFs due to the possible impact on our health, and on some people, as we've seen, more than others, and on children and pets more likely than others due to their size. It's time for us to reduce our risk exposure to EMFs. So here are my tips for reducing EMF exposure. Number 1, strongly consider implementing Dr. Deborah Davis's recommendations from my previous video for cell phone use. Again, this video will be referenced along with 2 others in the show notes below. Number 2, limit your exposure to Wi-Fi by going back to computers that are hardwired to the internet when possible. In this way, EMFs are not emitting. Number 3, if your home works off Wi-Fi, simply unplug it or turn it off at night during your sleep time. In my household, the last one to go to sleep turns it off and the first one up turns it back on. Understand that Wi-Fi or cell phones emitting during the night around your house and particularly near your bed can interfere with your body's natural cancer-fighting and immune-building hormone production, melatonin, and it can affect your deep sleep cycle. And we don't want that because that impacts all of our health. Number 4, remove cordless phones from your home and replace them with hardwired landlines if you have them. Yes, these cordless phones emit EMFs. Number 5, remove all emitting devices from your bedroom at night. If your cell phone is on, it must be at least 6 feet from your bed. And of all things, don't charge your cell phone next to your bed at night. This charging intensifies the EMFs. Number 6, opt out of allowing a smart meter to be placed on your home if it is constantly emitting. Now, our power company several years ago was in the process of installing smart meters on the homes in our neighborhood when I was first researching about smart meters. I ended up opting out, even though after several of our neighbors had these installed, and I took an EMF meter over there and they were not constantly emitting. I was told by many scientists and doctors that it can change over at any time. So while they were doing it, I just had them to give me the old-time meter. It does cost me $11 to $12 a month extra because someone has to come directly out to my house and read the meter each month like they used to many years ago. But for me, it's worth it. Number 7, consider moving. I hate to say this, but if your home is located close to a cell phone tower, transmission tower, large or heavy power lines, or large radio antenna, you need to consider moving. You can search for current or future tower sites at www.antennasearch.com. According to the Environmental Health Trust, cell towers have wireless antennas that emit radio frequency, RF, or non-ionizing radiation. When these antennas are too close to our homes and schools, our daily exposure to RF radiation is increased. RF radiation is considered a new form of environmental pollution which may have effects on our body. These effects from RF radiation are documented in scientific research studies, and they include increased cancer risk, cellular stress, headaches, sleep issues, genetic damage, changes to the reproductive system, memory deficits, and impacts to the central nervous system. Research has found that the cumulative dose from cell tower radiation can result in significant exposure over time. It's not a one moment or a 1 or 2 day thing. Cell tower radiation exposures are non-stop, night and day. We can turn our cell phones off, but we cannot turn off a cell tower. You might ask, well, what's a safe distance to live from a cell phone tower? The amount of radiation energy emitted by a mobile tower reduces as the distance between them increases. In most cases, the signal is at its strongest at a distance of 50 meters from the antenna, and its strength gradually decreases as one moves farther away from the source. After the 150 meter threshold, or about 450 or more feet, RF energy grows weaker. In most cases, a distance of at least a quarter of a mile, or 1,320 feet, or about 400 meters, is required to bring exposures down to the general public precautionary level of 100 microwatts per meter squared. This level is the maximum permissible level of radiation exposure for the general public. So make sure you're at least a quarter mile from one of these radiation emitting devices. Therefore, you may assume that if there are no mobile towers at a distance of at least 400 meters from you, you should be safe. Now, last but not least, consider using EMF protection devices. One company that I've worked with is Defender Shield, and I use this. This is my computer laptop. I place my computer on this for many reasons, but one is to protect me from the radiation, especially when I put it on my lap. They also have earbuds that protect you from cell phone radiation to the brain, and a link will be referenced in the show notes below. There's also what I have here, an EMF necklace. This necklace, called a Harmony pendant, helps to protect your body from EMF exposure. Now, there are some companies that make what we call diodes. Here's one that can be placed in your pocket, and some can be placed, they're a little bit smaller, on a cell phone or on your computer to reduce, again, your exposure. Let me just say in closing, we need more research in this area before 5G cell towers are built in close proximity to all of our homes. This more powerful EMF technology should be researched before it is installed, rather than allowing us to be the experiment. As RFK Jr. hopefully gets the chance to make America healthy again, I'm sure this is one area he will be strongly addressing. And can I make a confession here? I was very stubborn, to say the least, about making changes in this area. It took me several years of hearing over 50 doctors and scientists warn of the dangers. I also looked at many research articles. It was just hard for me to make changes when this is something you can't see, hear, feel, or touch, these EMFs. And that's why I call EMFs the invisible toxin, and a toxin which impacts some people more than others. I hope this has been helpful information for you. I hope that you will subscribe to my YouTube channel. Like this video, share it, share it, share it. People need to know what is going on around us. People need to know why people like RFK Jr. are on the bandwagon of trying to make changes in America. Trust me, there's a lot of research and it's for a good reason. I must tell you, on the other hand, that there is some research that says these things have no effect on us at all. So all I can say to you is, you look at the research. Listen to some of these people talk. You decide what measures you take to protect your health. My husband and I finally decided we had to get on the bandwagon and put a plan in place. Until next time, here's to your good health and hopefully less radiation exposure. And may God bless.